The Sports Hit List presents Smoking Mirrors.
But I'm going to go a step further. Kawhi is the most pampered superstar in all major sports.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the same Kawhi Leonard that has played like back-to-back games, maybe twice a season?
Yeah, that guy. I'm doing it.
You're going the distance with this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jumping out the window on it.
I mean, now that
I'm trying to think of a player. I can't think off the top of my head right now who would come close.
Maybe is it Grom with the way Rojas manages him? I mean,
but that's different.
Not by choice.
Choice. That was by
I have to think about that. I need some time to think about that.
Grom doesn't move to a team every year. I think he played 30 games.
But yeah, I still got Jazz in 5.
Deck, what about you? What do you got?
I got Jazz in 6. I'm gonna give the Jazz. I'm gonna give the Clippers a game. Then the Jazz are gonna clip their wings. If you know what I mean. Catch my drift. And
I think everyone caught it. Everyone caught it.
I bet you.
It was pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Sports Hit List. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. In fact, do it now.
It's Thursday, guys. You know what that means.
It's Thursday, guys. You know what that means.
It is time for your weekly dose of the AEW injection, presented by the Sports Hit List, by the fans, for the fans. As always, you were here joined by the Outlaw of Long Island, Zach Droll,
Mr. No Days Off, Nick Moderano,
Christian Pollard, the Goon.
You're watching
the AEW injection.
the AEW injection on the Sports Hit List. Join Dark Order.
Four years ago, I realized that I've been taking care of everybody else, and I finally decided to take care of myself. My weight loss has been a physical and mental challenge. Some days are high, some days are low. Some days are easy, and some days are not. But no matter what, I push it to the limit. This is my journey.
This is the Sports Hit List. By the fans, for the fans.
When it comes to Kawhi, again, I think it's honestly because of he's kind of in that Tim Duncan track, right? Hard to criticize. He's quiet.
Nobody though. There's
doesn't
no
say,
reason to give him
say
flack.
anything. There's no one who says anything or gives him any props, right? So Tim Duncan is a 2-time NBA champion, 5-time champion, 2-time league MVP, 3-time Finals MVP. He doesn't say much, so a lot of times Tim Duncan is not going to get as much flack when he loses, and Tim Duncan has had his share of losses. You see what I'm saying? Tim Duncan came off a championship and got knocked out the first round the following year, and people don't talk about it because again he's quiet. But meanwhile, when you have someone a stature of a LeBron who's out there like that people do know. It just comes with the territory. It's hard for LeBron fans to accept. It comes with the territory. And that's the only way I can honestly paint it. That's me being unbiased as possible. You can either accept it or not. You being the face of the league for so long, you being the real king of LA, you're going to get the flag. You're going to get the flag from your contemporaries. You're going to get the flag from other people. It's just LeBron. There's an obsession with LeBron, whether you like him, whether you hate him. But the entire fan base is obsessed with LeBron James. Either way, positive or negative, and we can't beat around it. The man's going to be retired, and we're still going to be talking about what he did in 2016. Like there's nothing else you could say about it, honestly.
Thanks for watching the Sports Hit List. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. In fact, do it now.
Carl Quillange for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Thank you for joining me here Wednesday live exclusively on the Sports Hit List fan page. Thank you to all our fans and our supporters. I want to give a quick rundown of what's going on in sports right now. Clearly, topic of discussion is Kawhi Leonard will miss Game 5. He has a sprained knee, so he's out indefinitely. Also out indefinitely, Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns due to COVID protocol. I hope he's okay and everyone in his family is okay. Really disappointing news coming out, and we're seeing the injuries continue to pile up here for the NBA as we're going down to the stretch to the NBA Finals. And this really honestly comes down to, at the end of the day, for those who don't realize what's going on, it comes down to money. And at the end of last season, the players had two options, either to start the season in January on Martin Luther King Day, or they could start the season 2 days before Christmas. And if they decide to start the season 2 days before Christmas, the players will get paid more money. And this is what happens. So, and by more money, I'm talking about for the lower level players, the ones who are still on their rookie deals. Those players were going to miss out on opportunities if they had started the season on Martin Luther King Day. So the players spoke up. They had no problem. They didn't want to leave any money on the table. The season started earlier. The season started as early as possible, which means no training camp, no time to rest, compacted games, a different kind of format schedules where you're playing multiple back-to-backs in different cities. You had COVID protocols. And this is where we are now. And those teams and superstars are paying for it. You have guys like Kyrie Irving, who's out. Kawhi Leonard now who's out. Chris Paul is out. Even going back to the players who got eliminated, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. So the injuries continue to pile up over and over and over again. And it's really unfortunate because, fans are wondering, what teams would look like at full strength. But injuries are a part of the game and something that we have to accept. It's really unfortunate for those players, and I hope they have a speedy recovery. Another related news, shout out to LaMelo Ball and winning Rookie of the Year. We know that our president of the Lake of Nations, Brooklyn Division, Mr. Anthony Mullen, is still BBB to the fullest. So he is out there celebrating that. And also we have Stan Van Gundy was fired by the New Orleans Pelicans. And also Scott Brooks was fired by the Washington Wizards. So two other head coaching spots opened up in the NBA. You could add the Celtics, the Blazers, and also the Pacers to that list. Now, coming up in today's show, I have a very special guest coming through, a former 970 and WABC 77 talk show sports host, Jonathan Friedman. He's going to be joining us. He's a big Hawks fan, so we're going to talk to him about his Hawks being tied at 2. But before I bring him in, I needed to address something that's been going on, and I've seen this since last night. And I want to give a shout out to D'Antoni to the Celtics is not a possibility. That's not happening. I don't want Pringles on my team. Sorry, it's not happening that way. But last night was an incredible performance. And just talking to other sports fans, some people were impressed. Some people weren't because they know that this is what Kevin Durant does on a given basis. For me, it was a very impressive performance. I thought it was amazing. And any true fan of basketball, again, I want everyone to listen to me closely. Any true fan of basketball appreciated what Kevin Durant did last night. 49 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, played the entire game in 48 minutes of action, 69% from the field. Now, one would believe when you wake up in the morning or you're scrolling through your social media, or you're turning on the news, you will see people happy and appreciate basketball. And you would think that's what you would see in the morning. Is that what we saw? No, it's not what we saw. It's not what I heard this morning. And it makes me wonder, are you really fans of sports, or are you here to just troll so you can get attention? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Now, I'm going to read you some of the things that I saw today and some of the things that I heard. And you tell me what you think of these things, right? So Kevin Durant has the excellent game that he has, puts the team on his back. He plays well. And Brooklyn goes up 3-2. But that's not what people are talking about today. And you know what we've seen. It's a lot of hate, but why? And here's what I've heard, okay? So someone said, or this is the memes that are being created out there. KD, until KD goes back to OKC and gets a ring, he won't be on Bron level. I don't care how many jump shots he hits. Maybe the best player in the league. That's it. After Kevin Durant has his game. That's one. Here's another one. Y'all over here, y'all hyped over KD's performance like Bron didn't have 10 of those in 2018. You see a common denominator here, right? Again, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is doing the best he can to will his team to a victory. But this is the narrative that has to do too with LeBron. Okay? So here we go again. He left OKC and Westbrook to join up the enemy in Golden State. I couldn't fathom LeBron joining up the Celtics. I lost respect for KD as a man. That's the narrative that we want to go by today. Not the fact that Kevin Durant had a performance for basketball of his life. Not the fact that, he was put in a position where he did what he did. Not the fact that we enjoyed watching Kevin Durant play, but we're sitting here talking about LeBron. And last week on the show, Eddie wants to know, why did we give LeBron some more? This is the reason why. This is the exact reason why. It's because of his fans who sit here and want to troll and not appreciate what basketball really is. And that's sad. And it goes to show that you people are not basketball fans. You people are not sports fans. There's no way in my given mind that I'm going to sit here and allow people to disrespect Kevin Durant and the performance that he had. And here's another one that I heard. Well, he needed James Harden to be on the court in order for him to play well because he couldn't do it by himself. What? How the hell does that make any sense? It makes me just realize and understand that you guys don't like basketball. You don't like sports. There is no way, shape, or form Kevin Durant has the performance of his life and plays the entire game. And the first thing out your mouth is about LeBron James, the man who's sitting home? How? How does that make any sense to me? It makes absolutely no sense. And for those people who think I may have a problem, this is not about LeBron. It's about the narrative that we're creating. It's stepping aside from talking about basketball. We need to understand and talk about basketball. Let's talk about the sport. Let's talk about games that are tied 2-2. You don't like the sport? You don't have you have a problem with LeBron not playing and Steph Curry not being there because you want to see superstars? Don't watch the game and don't comment. But for you to sit here and be salty about Kevin Durant performing the game of his life and still upset about what he did in Golden State, it goes to show your true character is that you don't like basketball. It's simple. That's it. It just goes to show that people don't appreciate sports. So with that said, I'm going to bring in my guest now, a special guest, Jonathan Friedman. He's with WABC 7 and 9070, former co-host of his own show. So let's talk to him about the Hawks. And as he comes in now, I know I probably took up a couple minutes of his time, but I just want to have him come in. Jonathan, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
I can.
How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us here on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man.
Nice surprise and a great opportunity to talk Atlanta Hawk basketball.
Yes. So me and you met through a mutual friend, Charlie Baldy. You worked with Charlie Baldy on 970 AM.
And at WABC.
And WABC. Charlie.
We like to call him Chuck.
Chuck, absolutely. Chuck was a student of mine at St. Francis College. I taught him advanced TV studio. And me and him have kept a great relationship. I love him like he's my own. So, and I know you've worked well with him too.
Yeah, good kid.
Yeah. So you're a Hawks fan, and you're the only Hawks fan I honestly know out there in the street. So the first Hawks fan I've ever met. So I figured let's have you come in. Your team is tied 2-2. And I know we discussed the series moving forward, and you kind of don't have faith in them winning. But let me tell you something. Listen, players are flying off the roof here. They're injured. Kyrie's down. Kawhi just went down. Chris Paul went down. This is the opportunity you think possibly for your team to make it to the finals and make this up. And again, Joel Embiid is coming off an 0-for-12 performance in the second half. What are your thoughts?
I'll give you an answer to that. Going into the series, right? They talked about Joel Embiid being hurt, right? Going into the Atlanta series, he missed Game 5 in Washington, and then the series started. Well, with that hurt knee, he put up some big numbers in the first 2 games. He was unstoppable. I mean, the guy unstoppable. And I think I know that they said he couldn't get up and it was 0-for-12. He was almost due for an 0-for-12 after what he'd done, if he does have a hurt knee, and they say he does. So it'll be interesting to see. It could be a wild card tonight. I just think that, it's a tough task for getting any personnel to go into Philly tonight in a Game 5 pivotal game and get the win. Now, Atlanta's part of a process of, Atlanta has 11 first-round picks on their roster. This team has grown organically, following the same footsteps as the Golden State Warriors and Travis Schlenk, who's the general manager there. When the Warriors started to win, he was the assistant general manager in Golden State and has showed the same blueprint in Atlanta of how the team plays and the type of players they're bringing in. So I just think that Atlanta's I'm thinking macro with Atlanta. I expect the Hawks to be in an Eastern Conference final next year or the year after, and this is part of the stepping stones. Can they win tonight in Philly? Yeah, but I think it's a tough task under any scenario in a Game 5 with a young team.
Now, are you from the Atlanta area? Is that
I
how
am.
you
I'm
became a
born and
fan?
raised there. I am.
Wow. I love Atlanta. I visited there twice. I was at actually WrestleMania 27 there, and my bachelor party.
Where was that? The Georgia Dome?
Yes.
Dome?
And my bachelor party was there in 2015. So it's definitely a great city.
Where was your bachelor's party at?
Listen, man, there's certain things I don't know if I could discuss on live on here.
It sounds like you had some lemon or lemon spice chicken.
Maybe. We'll see.
Man.
Listen. If you want to have that conversation later on, we could definitely have that. But here's what I'll say to your point about Philly is as you know, I'm a Celtics fan, and I know Doc Rivers, and I've been very vocal in saying Doc Rivers is a great motivational speaker as opposed to a coach. And we've seen Doc Rivers down the stretch give up 3-1 leads. We've seen Doc Rivers give up big leads in games, and he just did in against the Hawks. They were up 17
with the Clippers,
points,
right?
With the Clippers. So
right.
With that said, going into this pivotal Game 5, and I believe the statistic is 83 or 85% of teams that win Game 5 go on to win the series.
Yeah.
And your team is pretty young. You have a Clint Capella there. You have some veteran pieces, and also Nate McMillan behind the bench, something to prove after being fired in Indiana. Doesn't that kind of give you a little bit of momentum going in there? And the fact that you guys stole Game 1 there already?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, listen, as far as I'm concerned, Atlanta's playing with house money. In other words, going into the season, Philadelphia was in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? That's where people put them with Milwaukee and put them with Brooklyn and those teams. That's the level that they've gone through the stepping stones also.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Atlanta's in that situation, I'm not putting pressure on myself for this to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of thing also that if Atlanta was to get the game tonight, the hardest thing to do is close out a team. I mean, if we win tonight, I'm thinking it's going 7 because of the pressure to have to close out the team at home in front of your home court, and Atlanta experienced that little bit of this in Game 3 in Atlanta, where they got a little bit of a lump. So it's going to be great. I'm excited that this young team, this organic team, that's not through free agency and that type of thing, is no matter what happens, it's house money. But they are this team. This team is the youngest, will be the most exciting team in the Eastern Conference for the next 2 to 3 to 4 years.
Listen, I must admit, going into the season, I did not have the Hawks on my radar as a team that'd be this far. Going into the first round, I picked the Knicks to win. And you guys are definitely surprised. So that's why maybe I'm not putting all my eggs into the Philly basket, and I know how they play. The fact that when I watch Joel Embiid, I see so much potential that he can post up like a dream, but he's trying to hit a mid-range or a three-pointer is so disappointing. Seeing the fact that Ben Simmons can't shoot or take a shot and they have to force the ball out of his hands gives me a little bit of hope with Atlanta.
Well, if you noticed also, Ben Simmons wasn't in the game at the end of the game the other day. The other guard was on that team. So that's a little bit too, that they didn't want him getting fouled and clanking foul shots.
Right, for sure. Yeah, because they know he can't hit them. So I think there's a window of opportunity here for the Hawks to steal this game. And Joel just has to have an outstanding MVP caliber like performance tonight in order for them to win.
Right. And so will Trey. Trey will have, Trey had an off night the other night, kind of, because it wasn't as flashy, but he put up 25-18. So it should be really good. It should be a great game tonight. I'm glad that the Hawks are getting this experience on the road in a Game 5, because if it doesn't help you this year, it's going to help you in future years.
Well, because you're a good friend of the Sports Hit List, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for the Hawks tonight. So
I'm glad.
Moving along to the other
now we
series,
have 2 Hawk fans.
Honorary, because you know me, I'm Celtic green till I die. I always said, listen, when I die, they're going to bury me in a Celtic green casket. That's how I say.
I'll never take the violin. I'll never take the violin out for the Celtics or their fans.
So moving along to the other series in the Eastern Conference, last night, Kevin Durant, as I said in my opening statement, coming off an incredible performance. What are your thoughts in seeing how Giannis just can't seem to get it together? And we thought the Bucks were going to win that game, but specifically talk about Giannis, about how he can't seem to have any movement, create his own shot. There seems to be trouble there in Milwaukee. What are your thoughts?
Well, let's give the other team a little credit defensively in regards to the Nets. But listen, when thing in regards to, I'm not even going to put Giannis. I'm not going to compare Giannis in regards to point production and stuff with Durant. Durant's on a different level than everybody. I mean, Giannis is awesome, and Durant is more awesome. You know what I'm saying? So But how about Durant last night? And I know you talked about the haters in your opening and all of this ridiculous, I don't pay attention to that stuff, but to think that the guy put up it's funny. I heard Vince Carter on ESPN yesterday, and he was saying for the Nets to win, what's the name's going to need to put up 40. Well, he was pretty right. He put up more than that. So
right. Yeah.
It should go. I look for Milwaukee to win the next game. I do. And I think that it'll go 7 that series.
Listen, I as much as I'd like to agree, because I love a good 7, because there's no better words in sports than a game 7. I don't know, because the way Durant played, James Harden didn't even have a great game. You have Jeff Green coming off the bench. I believe he had 27. He hit 6 3-pointers.
He's a good player.
Sensational player, of course. But just looking the way Durant played, what answers do Milwaukee have for Kevin Durant? What answers do they have?
Well, I'll tell you, the guy who I think is the wild card, if Kyrie is not playing, is Holiday. Production off a guy like that when the other guard's not playing, you got to make things happen. So it's easy to get caught up in Durant versus Harden's not healthy either, by the way. You could certainly see that last night that he's not healthy, and I don't know if he'll be any different going into on the road. Any different than he was last night. He's not moving right. You can certainly see it. Hamstrings are tough things. So, we'll see. I personally think that's going to go 7, but we'll find out. Well, let's see what the Nets can do on the road. Can they close it out?
I think they can, given Durant, again, veteran leadership and understanding what's at stake, understanding your team needs to rest in order to advance to the next round. I could see Durant having another point, but it's tricky though, because he's just coming off playing in a full game. Now, as a coach, as a first-year head coach in Steve Nash, what do? Your top player just played an entire game. Going into the next game, are you going to tell him to rest, or are you going to ask him if he can go again?
No, he's playing. If he played him 36 minutes last night, he's playing him. And you know what you're seeing with Kevin Durant now, because it takes so long, he's healthy now. He's at the point where this rehab on the Achilles, even though he played during the season, had some nights off. It's a long process to get back to where you are, and now he's there. You see it, obviously. That he has now is back.
Listen, I see some people in the comments. I've been one who's been very adamant of calling James Harden a bum over the years because of his lackluster playoff performances. I know that's been a little harsh. He's not a bum.
Good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. It's just his postseason success hasn't been as successful as his regular season success, which has led me to the term bum, not literally, but again, people are going to say that. And I know he's coming off that injury, and now he's in a different role with the Nets, having to play that point as opposed to playing shooting guard, more of a facilitator. So I hope this goes 7, but I think the Nets close it out in 6. As pains for me to say, I think they close it out in 6. They get it done.
Yeah, right. We're you know what they say, right? That's what they play the games for.
For sure. Moving along to the Western Conference before I let you go. Clearly, the Suns advanced, but now Chris Paul with COVID protocol.
Well, here's the thing with that, and the whole COVID thing seems ridiculous to me, but here's the thing. The other series is at 2-2, right?
Right, yeah.
And so he has time off right now, and then they have to give the other team another day or two to get rested and what have you. Watch, he'll be playing in game 1. Watch.
Okay. All right. I
think he's playing in first. I think there's a big panic right now, but I think he'll be playing in game 1.
Now moving along to the Utah series, Utah versus the Clippers. Kawhi is out, so now everyone's kind of like, okay. Paul George coming off 31 points in the last game in game 4 to tie the series. Also, Kawhi had 31, but now it's clearly all the eyes are on Paul George, and can he have another performance like that to carry the team past Utah? What are your thoughts here with Utah?
I can't see. I think that Utah, especially when they get home, can get a win. And I think if the series had to go 7, that Utah will take that series, especially now if he's out. Now they said now that he's out for game 5, but kind of left it open for what could happen after that. I've seen some reports he's out for the postseason. Then I've seen some that, that whatever, which I can't believe. If he's hurt, he's hurt. So I think that Utah at worst will win that in 7.
Okay. All right. One last thing. Chuck is a big Islanders fan, and I'm an Islanders fan because the Islanders are moving to my hometown of Elmont. I'm from Elmont. I grew up there. So special shout out to Elmont. So for Chuck, and for the Islander Nation, can they make it to the Stanley Cup? Can they actually pull this off?
Well, here's the thing, and I told Chuck this a long time ago, that the Islanders will win a Stanley Cup again or contend or be in a Stanley Cup Finals because of Lou Lamoriello. Lou Lamoriello could be a GM in any sport. I really believe that. That's how sharp he is. And I just think that they're feeling good. They got that game 1 on the road, I believe, against Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
They split at home. They're getting good goaltending, the Islanders. And I think that why not?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Why not? And if you're Tampa Bay, it's hard to repeat. It's really hard to repeat in hockey. It's almost impossible.
No.
So I feel good about the Islanders. And Chuck, I'm happy for Chuck. He loves those Islanders.
For sure. Jonathan, please tell the fans your information if they want to look you up, if you have any podcasts out there and what you're working on, because I'd love to.
We actually have some, we're working on a YouTube sports talk show that we're about a few months away from putting together. So I'll stay in touch with the sports hit list and let everybody know when I have something substantial to give them to watch and stuff. But anybody can get me on Facebook or on Twitter. And it's been so long since I've been on Twitter, I don't even remember my address.
For sure. But you know what? I'll definitely have you back on. This was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's please keep in contact. I definitely love to collab with you some more.
Thank you so much, Carl. And go Hawks.
All right. Go Hawks.
Thank you, buddy.
Take care. Carl Coulange for the Sports Hit List, by the fans and for the fans. As we transition to some more NBA talk, I'm going to bring in our resident contributors. Special shout out to Jonathan Friedman for coming in. Definitely a different perspective and a different insight about what's going on with his Atlanta Hawks. For him, go Hawks tonight. But let's bring in our normal contributors. I know people are waiting to hear from them. Let's talk to Coach Womack and let's talk to Mike Miller here, who have always been on our 425 block. Gentlemen, you guys have been on that 425 block. First and foremost, before we start, I have to throw a congratulations to the Millers, who welcomed a new member of their family. Mike, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
He just welcomed a new member of his family, Malcolm Miller, to the family, now a proud father of 4. Special shout out to him and his wife, Michelle. I told him he has a starting lineup now. He's ready to go to the park. Mike, is that true?
I am the starting center, so yeah.
Congratulations to you and the fam, my brother. I know it's going to be tough, but definitely congratulations to you guys out there. Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. I don't know if you saw my opening monologue. I pretty much went off on it. I've been talking to Mike about this, the narrative about Kevin Durant and how for some reason people find a way to make this about LeBron and not appreciate basketball and appreciate what he did. Mike, I know you have some thoughts about that, and I know Womack, but Mike, what are your thoughts here about what the narrative is as opposed to what it should be?
Yo, it's ridiculous, man. I posted something on Instagram earlier this morning, like, yo, KD showed the difference between him and Giannis. And then a LeBron fan was like, I wasn't impressed. I was like, I knew it was a LeBron fan, but I wanted to see if they was going to actually give me reasons. And they really sat there trying to say he played 48 minutes is what I expect. I'm like, wait, you expect Kevin Durant to get 49, 17, and 10? So then you think he's the greatest player ever? If that's what you expect from him? So, Carl, it's got to stop. Like, we got to be able to celebrate someone being great without thinking, yo, these LeBron fans, as Mac created a term that he didn't know would live forever. The LeBronians, they're ridiculous, bro. They spam everywhere. They can't. I tell people all the time, especially LeBron fans, these are some of the most insecure fans ever. Like, everything about them triggers them. KD had a phenomenal performance last night, and it was about KD. Even LeBron tweeted that it was great to watch that. Let's celebrate that man without worrying about somebody else, bro.
Mac, you seem to be chilling. You on vacation? You got the glasses on, Toledo touch. It looks like you at AC. I don't know where you at. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you look like you chilling. I don't know where you at. I don't know if you want to give your information, but it seems pretty comfortable.
Location. I'm at a disclosed location.
So, what are your thoughts here? I know you've been on social media. Too much social media is bad for you, but what I saw last night was just absolutely disgusting. I talked about it. It stepped away from appreciating basketball, and I basically said those who cannot appreciate what happened last night are not fans of basketball. Then they should just stop watching sports. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, did we expect anything less, man? We didn't. We didn't expect anything less. Like, the LeBronians, they're a prideful bunch. They look for anything to compare and to bring up. You know, KD put on an amazing show last night, and the first thing we saw from the LeBronians were, oh, this is what LeBron's been doing, you know, since the finals that he averaged a triple-double. Like, they just have to keep his name relevant. It's really a religion. LeBronians, I told y'all when I came up with the term, It wasn't by accident. If you're a part of the LeBron cult, it's really a religion to where you have to use the Bible and look for a verse that correlates with everything that happens in the NBA. So any kind of thing that happens in the NBA, you know how we got in the Bible, if you need to forgive somebody, they'll pick a verse out, or if you need to find forgiveness, you go John 3:16, for God so loved the world. They'll look at Kevin Durant and go LeBron 4:17. He almost had a triple-double in the finals. And they'll just keep correlating all of his performances to make it about him, which is disgusting. It's nasty behavior. And guys are just give it up. He's like the team, he's out right now. He's out and he's still playing. He's still playing in the NBA. So it's not like Jordan or the greats when you want to compare. He's still in the league. Let him relax. Let him, he's being a fan. He didn't put what his stats, he didn't defend himself. You guys are all like Lincoln lawyers. Every time something comes up about him, you got to go to your book and defend him. Just give it up, man. Give it a break.
All right, so I don't want to spend too much more time talking about it. It is what it is. Kevin Durant is great. I've never seen anything like it, and I was amazed by it. And again, it makes me appreciate basketball.
Look in the comments. Look in the comments. You got your man Eddie Gonzalez already. It goes both ways. Dogs, just give it up, man.
Just give it up. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. But gentlemen, to talk about basketball itself, I just had a guess. He believes this will go 7, and the Bucks will win a pivotal game 6. I don't believe so. I think it's over after what I saw last night. But Coach, what are your thoughts with, again, seeing Giannis? And I know you're big on Giannis, but something has to give. And what we saw in that second half, I don't know if that was it. Talk to me here.
I got the Bucks at 7. And last night is the reason why I have the Bucks at 7. James Harden, he creates a problem. You don't know what you're going to get from him with being injured. The way those teams prepared for just KD, then a couple hours before the announcement, they get James Harden. That changes your entire defensive schemes and what you're going to do. I don't think KD is going to get 250-point performances. I know Jeff Green is not going to get another 27 and another 27 performance in those next games as well. So I think the Bucks, they take care of business at home. I think we get to game 7 where they're better prepared and they're going to exploit some of those rotations and some of the matchups that they're going to have with the hobble of James Harden if he plays the exact same way he played last night. I was amazed by the performance by the Nets, but it's just the odds for me. I could be wrong. I don't see the future, but the odds for me, I don't see those performances happening for 2 games in a row. I just don't see it for 3 games total and 2 games back to back.
Mike, what are your thoughts here? Can the Bucks bounce back and win 2 in a row to close this out in 7, or is it the Nets to win here?
They can for everything that Max said, but I don't think they will. So, Mac, all those points were absolutely correct. And we all know this, us being fans of the NBA, and Mac, of course, being a coach. That quick adjustment, that in-game time decisions or game time decisions, that quick adjustment for coaching staffs always is kind of a little murky. And so the Bucks couldn't adjust. But honestly, a lot of the deficiencies you saw in that game, you've seen throughout the series. You've seen it in the previous series with Coach Bud in terms of the advantages they have is not just because James is hobbled. It's an advantage they had if James was healthy, and they didn't exploit it. So the advantages that they have inside, they've always had those advantages, whether James is hobbled or Kyrie's not playing. They didn't exploit it. They always typically exploit it for a half, and then the second half they don't. Because Giannis believes that because we all asked for him to develop his game, he thinks that means just shoot a bunch of threes. So the deficiencies that he has will exist in game 6. The deficiencies that the coaching staff has, Coach Bud, in terms of in-game adjustments, those will exist in game 6. So for me, what it comes down to is, can KD give you one more performance like that in a game? We all know the answer is yes. Of course he could do it once. He doesn't have to do it 2 times. If he does it 1 time in a victory, then they go on to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I believe that no, Uncle Jeff may not get 27 points, but Joe Harris may not go 7 for 38 through the next 3 games. He may get hot. Remember, you don't need Joe Harris to shoot his 50% from 3 in this series. He's taking 10 threes a game. You need him to just shoot, maybe make 4 instead of making 1 or hitting the side of the backboard. And maybe Landry Shamet gets more touches, because I think at this point, everybody knows the strategy right now. It's only KD. So there's going to be more doubles on KD. I think a stat was he didn't get doubled anytime they just was flashing. So they're going to double him more. Role players are going to have to step up. Blake can have one of those bounce back games. I don't think you need that much from all of your key contributors. I think in the playoffs, we all know this. It's going to come down to your superstars. Your role players have to do just enough to keep it close. If they keep it close enough, KD is the guy to me that's going to close it. We've already seen that. Giannis can't, Chris Middleton can't, and that's what people are not mentioning about last night. It wasn't just what KD did on offense. It was defense. He had 3 straight possessions where he was guarding Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and I think Giannis, and he stopped them all 3 times. So he's doing it on both ends. So I trust him to win a close game and close them out 6.
All right, moving along.
Can I counter one counter on that? I think what we saw last night, and KD is amazing, 49, but I think it's an outlier. I really believe that. When you get into these games 6 and 7, Milwaukee built that 17-point lead for a reason. And I think that is more, they won 2 games in a row. That could have been the 3rd game in a row they won, but they took their pedal off the gas. They took their foot off the pedal. The gas went low, and KD put a remarkable performance, and Jeff Green put a remarkable performance to come back from 17. I think we got to watch. I'm really going to pay attention to game 6 and the first 2 quarters. If the Nets keep it close, Mike, I'm with you. But if we see another 14 or 15-point lead early on, I don't think they're going to be able to duplicate that type of comeback 2 nights back-to-back in a row with short rest. KD played 48 minutes. The next game is a Thursday. Am I right or wrong, Carl? Next game is on Thursday.
Thursday, yep.
That's
Tomorrow
one
night,
day.
yep.
That's 1 day rest. And if they lose on Thursday, the next game is on Saturday or Sunday.
I believe Saturday, but I can double check to verify.
That's 1 game rest. So you're talking about a guy who's going to have to play 45 plus minutes in about 5 days and going to put the boatload of his team on his shoulders. I don't know if he's going to be able to duplicate those performances under
game 7's on Saturday, yeah.
Under those terms. That's what I'm looking at, and that's why I have my opinion in terms of why I think the Bucks are going to win. But Mike, you made some great points. I mean, when you got the greatest player on the court, you always got a chance.
All right, gentlemen, let's move along to the next bracket in the Eastern Conference. The Hawks are tied 2-2. I just spoke to a Hawks fan. He's still picking Philly. He still believes his team is still young. They can't get to the next level. But Joel Embiid in the second half of that game, the last game, went 0 of 12. Definitely struggled down the stretch. We also noticed Ben Simmons was taken out because of his inability to shoot free throws. Mike, what are your thoughts here? Can the Hawks pull off the upset and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals?
They can. I mean, I picked the Philly to win in 6, so this would still make the pick kind of clear. But I mean, we saw some things in game 4. Particularly, we saw again Embiid. Your questions you're going to ask in that game is: was he hurt, or did they play defense, or is it a little bit of both? If it's a little bit of both, or the first part of he's hurt, then the Hawks are really good. If it's just that they play defense, then I think Embiid can figure it out to some degree. But if it's partially the injury, or bottom line, if they figured something out, and Nate McMillan is a great coach, and a stat that I saw during the game that's important is that Atlanta under Nate McMillan is 11-1 in games decided by 5 points or less. That means if they get this game close, they're going to win the game. Why? Because Joel Embiid is a big man, and their best ball handler can't be on the court. See, Doc Rivers made that little emotional rant 2 weeks ago about Ben Simmons, but yet and still, at the end of the game, he took him out because he understands, oh, brother, if you're going to shoot 50% from the free throw line, we're going to lose games. So I think that's going to rear its ugly head if these get down to close games, because Trey showed you the difference. And B and Doc talked about how he showed them highlights after the game of how all they were doing where they had guys like this, where Embiid was just trying to force everything and everybody was like this. So he showed it to Joel Embiid. Trey Young was having a bad game shooting, but kept facilitating the offense, kept picking his spots. And while they're young, what the guest you had said, while they're young, hey, this is how young teams eventually are going to beat old teams. So even though Philly's not old, so I think Philly probably gets it in 6, but I would not be shocked if the Hawks win in Philly. They've already done it. and because they have some things that are working, particularly on the perimeter.
Coach, man, this NBA Finals may not be what we all thought would happen in December when the season started. I spoke to Mike. Mike said we may get a Hawks Jazz NBA Finals. Who would have thought that would have happened? But do the Hawks really have a shot here to pull off this upset? Could it be, do they, or is it Phillies to win?
They absolutely have a shot. And for the same reasons why I say the Bucks have a shot to win it. Joel Embiid, not 100%. He's going to have to play a lot of games in a short amount of time as well. You're going to put a lot of minutes and a lot of toil on his body. And we already seen what happened. What happened last game is Mike. He's a little bit injured and he was fatigued. I watched every time he went to the free throw line, hands on the knees, bending over, super tired, even though he made his free throws. With a minute and 32, I think, or minute 27 left in the game, he shoots around a 13-foot jump shot that barely grazes the rim. That's what's happening. Atlanta is able to throw different bodies out there. The only way I think Philly is going to be able to come, it's not going to be through their superstars. Philly's going to have to win through their bench support. Dwight Howard has to get more active. Shake Milton, the best name in the NBA, I think probably. He's going to have to, show his elusiveness because he's probably the best shot creator on that team from the perimeter. Ben Simmons is the best perimeter player all around, but Shake Milton can get his own shots and get to his spots. And that's the only chance I think Philly's going to have to really, make this finish the series out. But I like the way Atlanta's playing. They're playing confident. They got a lot of shooters, and I just think they have more bodies. And when it comes down to these two games in 4 days, or whatever the case may be, I'm leaning towards a team that's more healthy and has more bodies to throw out there.
So you're going to Atlanta. Okay. The Western Conference now. This morning was a day of news with injuries. The injury bug continues in the NBA. Chris Paul is out with COVID protocol, but I believe he'll be able to play in time when we get to game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Speedy recovery for him and hope everything's okay. But Kawhi goes down, and Kawhi has a sprained knee. He's out indefinitely. This shifts the dynamic of the series. Mike, let me start with you because you're familiar with Playoff P, PG-13, whatever nickname he has nowadays. I don't even know anymore because I've lost track. Can Paul George be Paul George and get the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in franchise history?
Yes, because it could go two ways. One of the ways it could go is, the reason why everybody joked about him being way off P, and the best we've seen Paul George in the playoffs, these 2 games notwithstanding, is with my Pacers. Why did we see that? Because there were no expectations. We were never expected to beat the Heat.
Small market team, yeah.
Even though we had David West and we had a really, really good team, Roy Hibbert, we were never expected to win.
Listen, time out, but let me cut you off. Don't name Roy Hibbert in a good team, bro. Let's not do that.
Listen, he was on my team. He played good with me. I don't care what he did with nobody else. So he played good with me. So I don't care what he did with it.
That burger. What you used to call him a burger? You used to say burger with no lettuce and no tomatoes.
I believe. So Paul George can rise because there's no expectations. Everybody's going to pick I don't follow Vegas lines. I know Mac probably knows. I don't know what the line is tonight, but the Jazz are probably going to win by 30 tonight. I'm predicting that they're going to win by 30 because I think they're a veteran enough team where they'll understand, okay, we got them on the ropes. Let's try to spank them. But Paul George is this is his opportunity to just play free and easy. Everybody's expecting you to lose, so you can just play free and easy. His biggest problem is when the pressure heats up, when you're expected to win. So like, again, with our Pacers, when we got it to a game 7 against the Heat, now the first 6 games, nobody cares. You're just playing for fun. But now it's a game 7 and you got a chance to beat LeBron. He failed. Same thing when we played him in game 6. So it's always when he's expected to do great that it doesn't happen. So now people are just going to cry about, rightfully so, they're losing their best player. So I think he can, but do I think he will? No. I think Donovan Mitchell's averaging 37 in this series. And Carl, I know we're gonna talk about the all.
Yes, I'm gonna give you the chance to say it louder for the people in the back. I got you, bro. I got you.
Donovan Mitchell's averaging 37 in the series. That's with Kawhi and PG guarding. You're gonna take Kawhi out. What do you think he's gonna average now? And Mike Conley at some point is gonna come back. So I'm picking the Jazz to win the series. I believe he's still. Yeah, I believe Mike Conley's still out for Game 5 too. So I was picking him to win the series anyway, but this makes them a heavy favorite to win the series, and we'll see what PG does.
Coach, what are your thoughts here? You got the Clippers or the Jazz? I mean, given with this injury bug in the league, man, it's really unfortunate that seems like superstars are dropping left and right when it comes down to the stretch.
I had the Jazz before the series started, so I'm staying with the Jazz. Mike he said all the points that hit. Vegas lines is at -8 for the Jazz, so the Jazz are 8-point favorites. That's a lot of points right there. You know, when they're giving you 8 points, you know, that means they want the bettors to think you're gonna either stay in a close game, and usually teams win by 10 to 13 points. So I just don't see it. I think Paul George can have an amazing performance. He could get you 30, he could get you 35, but that ain't enough. You know, they don't got the shooters around him, you know, like the Nets have. You know, even if you wanted to tell him to pull a KD, he ain't capable of getting 50 in this playoff series, number one. Number two, you don't got the shooters around you. You got some good players, but Terrence Mann, Patrick Beverly, you know, Morris hit a couple threes, but, you know, you still don't have enough. You don't have enough to get it done without your number one option. So, you know, KD is the number one option for the Nets. So to compare them, you have to do the opposite. You have to, you know, compare if it was no KD and say you wanted to have Kyrie Irving lead the team, you know, to the championship instead of vice versa. He's no KD. So, you know, I got the Jazz winning this series. You know, Mike Conley, rest up, you know, get ready for what they're going to really need you against CP3 in the next round.
So I have this new segment I thought about. I'm going to call it Say It Louder for the People in the Back. So Mike had something to say. He said he wanted to address the All-NBA. So I'm going to allow Mike to say it louder for the people in the back. But before I do that, let me just give a quick recap to those who do not know who made the All-NBA teams. All-NBA first team, we have Giannis, Steph, Luka, Joker, and Kawhi Leonard. All-NBA second team, Joel Embiid, LeBron James, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, and Julius Randle. So a shout out to you, Coach. And All-NBA third team, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, and Kyrie Irving. So, Mike, say it louder for the people in the back.
The disrespect continues. This is ridiculous. Yo, it's not only stupid that you got a dude who is averaging 26 and 5 on the best team. He's the best player on the best team in the NBA. He don't get a single MVP vote, and now he doesn't make any of the All-NBA teams. You getting dudes like Bradley. Shouts out to Bradley Beal, because he's nice. But, bro, first of all, they got Russell Westbrook. Secondly, they struggled in the play-in game. Why is he on the third team? Then you got Mac. We're going to shout out your Knicks. But we know that the Knicks, they got that because it's a little engine that could. We didn't expect nothing. And so the fact that they made it to the 4th seed, we said, okay, Julius Randle's their best player. Okay, he belongs on the team because of nostalgia. But Donovan Mitchell could have made it over him. And why was LeBron on the second team? Why? He missed 3 months. They're the 7th seed. Why? So in other words, they gave LeBron second team because of the first 2 months of the season. They said, well, the first 2 months when they were healthy, he was the 3rd seed. But then AD got hurt and they was losing half their games. But they was like 10 and 11. They were a 500 team when they lost AD and just LeBron. So LeBron just only gets to make it because it's a Lifetime Achievement Award and because they were the 2nd seed in December and in January. So what'd you say?
No, I said I have to interject. You can't replace Mitchell with Julius Randle. It's impossible. They get voted on by positions. Mitchell's a guard.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying.
Julius Randle's in his own position, and I don't think you can find another forward. Possibly the only person you can argue for is Jason Tatum to take his spot on the second team.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
In terms of guards, but my question is, in terms of guards, the guards is tough. I mean,
no, it ain't.
Booker. Who you would have took out? Chris Paul?
Jimmy Butler? Bradley Beal, Chris Paul.
Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is the argument. Yeah, Bradley Beal.
No, Chris Paul too.
Chris Paul is a hard. Votes. Yeah, he got the MVP votes, and the fact that he was able to turn that team around. Yeah,
like you call. That's the problem.
Wait, Sam, what about me? What problem?
You was one of them people that said Chris Paul should have been an MVP, right? Or should have.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
It's nonsense.
How is it nonsense? It's been proven in NBA history when a team doesn't make the playoffs and they acquire a player, that player gets MVP voting. We've seen it in the trajectory of NBA. Like, so don't try to ignore that.
No, that doesn't happen all the time.
But it happens.
No, it doesn't happen all the time. And number one, every year is different in the
So
NBA.
Chris Paul shouldn't have got MVP votes, right? Shaq went. Let me use an example to you though. Shaq went from the Lakers to Miami, and he ended up getting MVP votes, and he got mad that he didn't win MVP. Steve Nash did the same thing of leading a team to 66 wins and making them a top 3 seed, and they went to MVP. So trajectory of history. Kevin Garnett. Hold on, wait. I'm not done yet. Let me finish because Kevin Garnett went from the Minnesota Timberwolves to the Boston Celtics, and he was an MVP voting that 08 year. So again. The trajectory of history shows you when the team is doing bad and you add another player, that player goes into the MVP voting. That's just facts. How are you ignoring the facts?
Hold on. You said NBA history?
I did.
That would be a great history lesson if the NBA was only 3 years old. It's 73 years old.
But listen, no, I did. But that's off the top of my head. You want me to go there and look it up for you? Is that what you want?
So I can't. Hold on. Do you know what percentage that is you just gave me?
Did you listen to what I see? You didn't listen. You didn't listen to what I said. You didn't listen to me. I literally just said to you, I can go back and this is off what I remember. I don't remember all the years. I can go back and check them. You want me to go back and check them?
So, Carl, in other words, your memory sucks. You gave me 2 years out of 7.
My God. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go back and remember from 1940, whenever it was, to remember all the years of the MVP. All the years of the MVP, you want me to go back and remember, right? Is that what you're telling me right now on spot? Go ahead.
I need at least 10, Carl. For it to be a valid point, I need you to give me at least 10 out of 73 years. You gave me 2. But anyways.
I gave you 3, but go ahead. I can give you more. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. My point is that Donovan, I asked y'all, when was the last time, Mr. History Buff, when was the last time somebody averaged 26 and 5 on the best team in the league and didn't win MVP? Mr. History Buff, since you know so much about NBA history, tell me that. Oh, that's surprising. And
how many games did he miss? How many games did he miss?
He missed 18 games at the end of the year. They were already the number 1
And 18 games is a percentage of how many since we had a shortened season?
72. That was what? Like
I'm not
15,
good at math.
20?
That's why I'm really asking.
That's like,
me either. I'm not
25%. But Max, the
so
only
then
problem
my question, hold on. So then my question with history is, who has gotten an MVP vote when they missed 1/4 of the season?
Well, remember, I'm not arguing he should. Oh, who got votes? Joel Embiid finished second in MVP voting. He missed 30 games.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know.
And remember, both of those people was on the All NBA team. Embiid was on the second team.
Good point.
LeBron was on the second team, and both of them missed the same amount of time Donovan Mitchell missed. So it's complete disrespect. And the only reason why I said it's about Chris Paul is because he don't have no numbers.
Conspiracy theory. I think there's a conspiracy theory between, and you can't tell me any different. The NBA is full of get along. You know, I got to get my Kawhi Leonard on. Get along.
Oh, you're Kwame.
Go along. The get along, go along crew can easily call some of these media people and say, hey, 33 million is on the line if these guys make these all teams. You think the media can't be pushed by some of these high-end executives and high-end people who want to push what's going on, or these agents behind the scenes? So, you know, if you got 2 young players who maybe were on the cusp, Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah,
and now you know they're not. They're kind of like Donovan Mitchell is pure craziness. Jason Tatum, I was in a debate earlier with Eric and with who was the other person? Eric. It's someone else that I was on a debate going back and forth with. Oh, and Mr. Numbers, we were going over Jason Tatum should have been over Julius Randle. Jason Tatum is more of a toss-up, but Donovan Mitchell should have found his way on one of those teams. So I think that you add that $33 million, that's not chump change right there. That's a big chunk right there.
I'm telling you, he gonna get 40. He gonna get 50 tonight. Why? I know he mad, son. You know, Donovan Mitchell always plays with a chip on his shoulder. So this is just more fuel.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
Season, they're gonna have
Jimmy Butler went as a guard.
He went as a forward.
See, that's another. Hold on, I noticed this too, Carl. We're gonna address this because I don't think a lot of people really know the ins and outs of these rules. So you know why Jason Tatum really missed it? He got voted as a dual player, guard and forward. Whatever amount of numbers you get the most votes in, that's the position they put you at. So he got more votes as a forward than a guard. Had they kept his guard votes, he would have made All NBA over Kyrie Irving. So you see, these are some of the rules that are archaic. They are archaic. Like you should, if you make it because you are one of the best guards and you have 61 votes and you have 69 as a forward, you should go in as a guard then because you made more votes than every other guard inside the voting block. So I think that was pure nonsense. If I'm Jason Tatum, 33 million on the line, I'm really fighting the NBA on where you put some of these players in, because I don't think that's fair. If he got those votes and it was over Kyrie, I love Kyrie, but I'm saying if that was the case, he should have been in as a guard and not as a forward. That just cost him 33 million on a technical situation.
All right,
man, listen, man. I'm gonna just tell you like this, man. At least third team, even though he should have been second team, because he could have easily taken Chris Paul's spot. He's the best player on the best team. in the NBA. When they finished the regular season, Donovan Mitchell was the best player on the best team. He has the numbers. He has the team accolades. If he can't be recognized this year, what is it going to take? Does he have to average 40? Do they have to win 70 games? Like, what else does it take for him to be recognized? It's because he plays in Utah. If he was doing this on Max Knicks, oh my goodness, he would have won the MVP easily. Easily. This market
media,
stuff, you would think that it doesn't matter no more.
Media is disproportional too. If you think about media members, where are they based at? Where do they live? Where do they go majority of the games at? Yeah. So you got like 3, maybe 2 media members from Utah, and then you got like 30 from New York or 20 from LA or 10 from Miami. So it's just, we got to figure out a better way to do these voting systems, because you can't, I'm not going to let some guy who got a column, no disrespect to columns, so we do this media game as well. But I'm not going to have them decide on $33 million for me. That's absurd.
All right, gentlemen, before I let you go real quick, I just need teams' names. Who makes it to the finals? Mike.
No, ask Mac first. I was kind of going. I'm gone.
Mac first. Who makes it to the finals? I just need the team names. Who makes it to the finals? So
Utah Jazz versus the Milwaukee Bucks.
Utah versus Bucks. Mike.
I'm gonna be goofy and say Utah. No, I'm not. I'm a Utah and Nets. Utah and Nets. I was gonna say Utah Hawks, but nah, I'm not gonna do that. Utah and Nets.
So I go Suns, Nets. I'm giving the Suns a shot.
So you're gonna disrespect the best player on the best team, Carl. That's what you're gonna do.
That's what you're doing too. You're gonna do it too. That's crazy.
You're gonna disrespect the best player on the best team.
What does he have to do, Carl?
Listen. It's not disrespect. This is how I see it. For as much flack as I've given Chris Paul over the years, I've given him a lot of flack and I've given him a lot of heat. Something just tells me this is the year he finally shuts me up. That's what I'm saying.
So it's guilt that you picked. You felt like because you've been bad to him all these years.
Lifetime Achievement Award.
After all the years I've given him flack, this is the year he finally shuts me up. This is what I believe is gonna. This is what I think. And again, I'm a man of karma and all that. I think he shuts me up this year. That's how I see it. Guys, I'll see you next week for the 425 block. You guys have been doing that consistently, so I'll see you next week. Mac, wherever you are, enjoy. Have a drink for me, man. And let me know so I can come on.
So people know this is Canada Dry I'm drinking, man. You gotta be responsible. Be responsible. It's Canada Dry. Just to let y'all know. Hold on. You might have to blur that out because Canada Dry ain't giving us no money. So
That's right.
We need a sponsorship deal. The Hitless needs a sponsorship deal. We need to start cutting some checks. You guys take care. I'll talk to you guys next week. And Mike, special love to the fan, man. Congrats again, brother. I'll talk to you soon. You are watching the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. To end today's show, our last segment, I know I got people in here in the comments. It may not be by popular demand, but the New York Islanders are in the playoffs. The only local team and New York team who are representing in the playoffs right now. We have to show them some love. We got to show some hockey some love. So if anyone wants to stick around and find out some information about hockey, we talk about it all here on the Sports Hit List. We spent the entire opening segment or first 45 minutes discussing or hour talking about basketball. We have to shift it to hockey. So Chuck, series is tied at 1, man. What are you thinking here? Can we actually pull it off heading in, coming home for Game 3?
Yeah, before the series started, I said, listen, when you have the first 2 games, you got to get at least a split. They did that. They won Game 1. It would have been nice to win Game 2, but as you saw in the group chat, I texted before the game, Islanders will lose tonight 4-2, and they went out and they lost 4-2. It was easy to see. John Cooper had his team ready to go. The Islanders looked flat to start the game. Tampa took full advantage, and they came away with the victory. So now all the Islanders got to do is just win at home. I said it during the Pittsburgh series, said it during the Boston series, win at home. All you got to do, just win the 3 games at home, and you're going on to the Cup. It's as dry as that. Although they didn't win Game 3 either against Pittsburgh or Boston, so tomorrow night they have to win Game 3.
Sparacino, man, listen, what are your thoughts here? Being as objective as possible, breaking down the Islanders, what are your thoughts here?
Well, after all that happened in Game 1, it was very noticeable that Tampa, it was a very uncharacteristic game by them, and the Islanders definitely took it to them and played exactly how they should play. And then, of course, Game 2 happened last night. Tampa responded, like Charlie said. John Cooper got his team in the right mindset, and Game 3 is going to be a war now because the intensity ramped up tenfold in game 2 alone.
Chuck, your guy Jonathan Friedman was on the show earlier on. He's a great guest. He said, it's hard to win a back-to-back Stanley Cup. So, is that advantage to the Islanders here?
I think so, but when you look at it really and what teams have struggled, hockey is not 100% about skill. Skill plays a very, huge part, but a lot of it has to do with physicality. And the Islanders are a perfect example of that, and they can wear teams down, especially in a playoff series over 7 games. And you see it like you hear the stories of after the Islanders dynasty, Wayne Gretzky walked by their locker room and he saw, those guys going into the ice baths and everything. It was like, this is what we need to do, to win. And lo and behold, Gretzky went on and started a dynasty with the Oilers. So hockey is a very physical game where you need to put 110% on the line every shift, every game, or else you're going to go home early. And we saw that this year with the Colorado Avalanche. Probably arguably the most skilled team in the NHL, but they went packing and lost 4 in a row because they couldn't match the physicality of Vegas. So the Islanders played that physical, hard-nosed, blue-collar game, and that's what they did in game 1, like Mike said. Tampa realized, hey, this is what we need to do, and they won yesterday. So now, like Mike said also, game 3 is going to be a war because both teams know they got to cut it out and just play hard-nosed hockey and crash the net and lay big hits.
So, Mike, moving along to the other series, I believe it's the Canadiens versus the Golden Knights. The Canadiens are up 1-0, right?
No,
they're
Golden
down.
Knights up 1-0.
Golden Knights are up 1-0. How do you see this series playing out?
Well, if game 1 is any indicator of how the rest of the series is going to go, Montreal is going to get swept. But I think Knights win it in 5 because if you look back to what happened last year, or it might have been, excuse me, 2 years ago. I don't even remember, but when one team got swept in the first round, the team that swept them got swept in the second round, the team that swept them got swept in the conference final. Montreal swept Winnipeg in the second round, who swept Edmonton in the first round. That was the first thought that came into my head. Are we going to see this again in such a short span? Because this is extremely rare.
Chuck, what are your thoughts with this series?
I think Vegas is by far and away better than Montreal. I do wonder, though, how travel will affect the West Coast team going to the East when the series shifts back to Montreal. That's something I would keep my eye on. But I do agree with Mike. I think Vegas takes it in 5, a gentleman's sweep. They just have better players than Montreal. I mean, I will give my props to Carey Price. I think he could steal a victory, but I don't think he has a good enough team in front of him in order to steal a series.
Okay, so is it safe to say we're going Knights, Islanders in the Stanley Cup?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And I would
you're not answering my question. You see, we have a problem answering questions here.
It's not safe to say.
I'm going to ask the question. It's not what you would love. Answer the question. Knights,
Carl,
Islanders in the Stanley Cup.
I am very superstitious. I take everything one game at a time. As soon as I start
So that means you're failing. Mike, are you answering my question? So
I just answered your question about 7 times.
Oh, well, go ahead. So Knights, Islanders.
It is not a safe bet. That is a perfect answer to your question.
Yes or no?
No.
No. So
I just said it's not a safe bet. That means no.
Okay, so
that
you're
means
saying
no.
Fine. And Chuck is not answering it, so he takes the F for incomplete. I don't know what else I can give you. Huh?
I can't, because if I talk good, they're going to play bad. If I talk bad, they might still play. I can't jinx anything.
All right. Guys, thank you so much. We'll definitely keep track. And as we move along to the Stanley Cup, we'll have more segments out there. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Carl. Let's go
All right.
Islanders.
Let's go Islanders for sure.
Let's go Knights, and I answered your question.
Take care, Mike. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here to the Sports Hit List Live. The Wednesday pull-up. Please make sure tomorrow is the season finale of the B Show here on the Sports Hit List. Make sure you come to that at 5 o'clock. We also got Smoke and Mirrors at 1 o'clock with Declan, Steph, and Greg on Friday. And overall, for those who didn't get to see my opening remarks, please make sure you can watch the playback. I'm sure it will be clipped by the Sports Hit List intern. Special shout out to that team for keeping content flowing. But my overall point is this: Kevin Durant. Just Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant scored 49 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, 69% shooting in 48 minutes of action. Let's just appreciate basketball. Can we just do that? Can we just have one day where we just appreciate the sport and stop the chatty-patty nonsense? I'm just asking for one day. I'm not asking for much. But whenever a player scores and whenever a player has an epic performance, let's spend the dialogue discussing that epic performance instead of everything that the player didn't do or comparing that player to somebody else. Let's talk about that player's performance in that specific game. We have to stop. I understand. I can be petty. We all can be petty. But when someone performs the way Kevin Durant did last night, or someone has an epic performance and you look at it like, man, this is why I love sports. Let's spend time appreciating that instead of hating. You guys make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to all Sports Hit List content. Thank you for pulling up and thank you for joining us. Again, please make sure tomorrow night is the B Show at 5 o'clock, the season finale. And then we also have Smoke and Mirrors on Friday at 1 o'clock. We also have Monday nights Off the Top Rope for all my pro wrestling fans. And I believe there's an AEW Injection episode coming soon. All sports content here on the Sports Hit List by the fans, for the fans. I am your tribal chief, head of the table, Carl Coulage, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take